Hi everyone, this is Tracy. For today's project, we are going to be making some photo frames for school. It's almost back to school time. I know I love hanging up pictures in my house. I love having little collectibles that I can pass out to my family and friends. There's going to be 4 frames in this bundle. One is going to say daycare. There's going to be one that says preschool, one for kindergarten, and one for grade school. So you can make them for all the years. I'm also sticking a magnet on the back, so I can go ahead and put this on my, well, I have a little filing cabinet down in my craft room where I put mine, but if you want to put yours on your refrigerator or whatever, put it up at work. That's what we're going to be making today. And like I said, there are 4 different styles, but I'm just going to be showing you one. I'm actually going to be working on one that says kindergarten. I take that back. I'm going to be working on one that says grade school for my son, who is now almost 30 years old, but the picture is from 2nd grade, so that's what we're going to be working on today. As far as supplies go, I'm using my Cricut Joy Extra. You can use school pictures, which your 2x3 photo should fit right down inside of here. I don't have that size photo, so I'm actually going to be using photo paper that I'm going to print it on to get my picture actually the size that I need. I will slice it inside of Design Space, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that too. Like I said, I am going to be using photo paper, and because I'm also printing out some digital papers, which you absolutely can print onto white cardstock. But since I'm already going to print out my pictures, I'm just going to go ahead and use the photo paper for the digital papers as well. But I'll show you how to get that all set up in Cricut Design Space when we get over there. As far as cardstock and HTV, I'm just using scraps. That's, you see so many of them laying around here. I've got some blue HTV, I've got black for my gear here, different colors of cardstock. I found this cardstock, if you guys have an Ollie's by you, this was in their clearance section for $3, and on Amazon it's like $15 for this little multi-pack here. I'm sure they have it at Walmart too, but I just love this because it had the primary school colors in it, so I'm going to be using that and other pieces of scrap. I do have some foam tape and some foam squares that I'm going to be using. I've got my Easy Press Mini. I'm going to use that to put my HTV onto my cardstock. My heating mat, a little Teflon sheet. This is a strip of magnetic tape that we're going to be using for the back of it for the magnet. My weeding tools. This is the glue I'm going to be using, the Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, absolute favorite glue. I've got a standard grip and a light grip mat. I like to kind of rotate as I go. As long as your standard grip mat doesn't have a whole lot of stick to it, you can use that with your cardstock, but if it's brand new, I wouldn't suggest it because your cardstock's probably going to rip. My brayer, like I said, my weeding tools, HTV, cardstock. I think that's it. Let's go ahead, get into Design Space. I'll show you how to get this all set up so you guys can make yourself some cute little photo frames for school. Okay, so these are the SVGs that are going to be included with your school frames bundle. This is what it's going to look like when you upload the design into Cricut Design Space. I'm just going to run through real quick what it looks like when you upload it. It's going to land on your canvas. This is a new thing with Cricut Design Space, which I'll be honest, I absolutely hate that it pops up. It just gets in my way and is frustrating, but that's getting out of the way here. Let's go keep going. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. If you have not uploaded photos before into Cricut Design Space, it's just like uploading a PNG, like a digital paper, or if you have something that's just a PNG file, that's what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that process. I have some uploaded here already, but I'm going to go ahead and upload an image, and I'm just going to drag and drop some pictures. Now I already have them in here, but let's go ahead and grab this one. Just drop that in there. Click continue. You don't need to do anything, just apply and continue. You don't have to remove the black background or anything. It's a flat graphic. And it's going to come in on your screen very large, so you're going to have to resize it. And that's any kind of PNG that you bring in, whether it's a digital paper or a photo. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it a little bit smaller here. And then I'm going to bring in the digital papers that I'm going to be using. Now, of course, I'll leave the links for all the digital papers that I used, but if you have Creative Fabrica, you can go in and just type in digital papers. And again, I'll leave the link for all this stuff. So if you type in digital papers in the search bar right here, there's a bunch that come up. If you have Creative Fabrica, it's free for you to download. If not, there are different prices. The ones that I used for the samples, the pictures that you're going to see and what I'm going to work on today, in this bundle, I used this little colored one for the preschool one for my daughter. And again, I'll show you as we go here. I just want to show you the ones that I used. This one here is from Creative Fabrica also. I used this white paper here for the 2nd grade one that I'm used for it's actually my son in the photo. This bundle here, I used this yellow one, and I used this one here. Okay, but you can upload any kind that you want. You can just do solid cardstock if you wanted to. If you have pattern cardstock, you can do that, but there are so many different ones to choose from. You probably could even find a free one here. Let me see if I can find one. Just type in digital paper. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and type in school digital paper, or even back to school. And then you would scroll down over here and see if you can find a freebie. If you click on this, all right, it's going to give you a few free options here. That's Halloween. That's obviously not school. But if you wanted something like dots, you could just type in polka dots or dots. There's so many different options. Something like these here. They're telling you if there's a price on here, it's going to be, obviously it's going to cost you. But if you have the Creative Fabrica membership, like I said, it's going to be free for you to download. So you just click on here, and you want to make sure when it comes up, this is green right here. If it's blue, that means they want you to pay for it. Okay, so there are free options. Just wanted to go ahead and point that out for you. Okay, so let's go back over here. This is the picture, and I am going to bring in this one. Again, it's going to come in really big, so you're going to have to resize it. And just go ahead and pull it down, or you can come up here and you can actually just type in a size just to make it smaller. Okay, so now we're going to do some manipulating. Depending on which one that you want to use, obviously, if you want daycare, preschool, kindergarten, grade school, I'm going to go ahead and do the grade one for this one, because this is my son right here. Go ahead and ungroup this, and I'm going to hide some of these. So, daycare, preschool, and kindergarten, I'm going to hide. So just to show you on one of them, and then we can always go back and change some of the other ones around. Actually, let me go ahead and bring in the daycare one so I can show you with my grandson. I already did that one, but we'll show you so that you can see how to arrange things. Okay, so for this one, for his picture, I'm going to come over to the shapes, and I'm just going to bring in a square, and I'm going to go ahead and resize this. I'm going to unlock this and put this right here. I'm going to go ahead and look at my notes because I've done this earlier, so I remember what size picture I want. I'm going to do 2.433. Hit my tab button so it jumps over to the other one, and 3.544, and just hit enter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this again, and I'm going to change this to a guide. And the reason I want to do that, we're going to put this over the picture to make sure that it's going to cut the correct size, that it's going to fit inside this frame here. Okay, I'm going to leave a little bit of room at the top, and I'm just going to, actually I'm going to duplicate this little guide here so that I have one. So I can remember the size, I don't have to guess again. Okay, so now I'm going to select both of these, and come down here, and I'm going to slice. Okay, let me hide this daycare one also, just to, we don't get things confused here. So now we can delete that part, and I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this. Let me go ahead and bring this to the front, so it's just easier where we are here. I'm going to ungroup this. Let me bring this back up to the front. Okay. So now I can take this and ungroup this frame as well. I know it seems like a lot of steps, but it really isn't. You just have to kind of take your time when you're doing it. You can take this and either right click and send backwards, and it'll just keep dropping them down one at a time. Or you can take this and then just drag it. And then you would just grab it and make sure that it's going to fit in there. That's all you're doing, is making sure that it's going to fit. And you can see where the guide is, so that if you wanted to drag it a little bit smaller, because you don't want it to stick out the sides of your frame here. So you could actually arrow down to make sure that it's going to look okay. I think that's good, but if you wanted to make it a little smaller, you could. Just make sure you have enough room to glue it inside the frame. Okay, so now for this part here, this is that top piece of that frame. I'm going to pull that out because I'm going to slice that from here. Okay, now again, I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn this into a guide. I'm going to make my paper a little bit bigger here. Okay, and then just center it up however you like it. Grab both and slice. Okay, and then you can delete that and delete this. And then this is going to go here. And then again, I'm just going to go ahead and drag that right there. Okay, that one actually goes back underneath him. All right, so now you can get kind of what it's going to look like. So now we're going to go ahead and work on his name. I'm actually going to change the colors here. This I'm going to make a dark blue. The reason I didn't select this color, this blue right here, is because that's what this color here is, and I don't want it to land on the same cutting mat when we get over to the cutting screen, because this is going to be cut out of HTV. And his name that I'm going to put on here is going to be HTV as well, and then I'm going to do a 2 for grade 2. That's going to be HTV as well. So I just want to make sure that it's not the same color so it doesn't land on the same mat, so it's just easier when we get to that part. Okay, so for his name, Spencer. And I'm going to come up here where it says font. Now this is a system font, so that means that it is installed on my computer. So under system, I'm going to go ahead and click right here, and I'm going to type in the name of the font. Okay, it's this one right here. And I'm going to put this in an arch right above him right here. I'm going to change this to red, I think. I want to go down here and make sure that it's not going to be a red that I already have, because it's going to be out of HTV again. Go ahead and zoom this in a little bit. And from here, don't ungroup anything yet. Just come up to here to curve, and we're going to curve this to fit in there. Now, obviously, we're going to have to make this a little smaller, but you can just work with this and get it to what looks good to you. This is one of those things that I could work on for a long time, so just take your time. If you need to work a little longer, you can. I think that looks okay right there. And if you want to make your letters a little closer, you can do that where it says letter spacing. You just click on it and it'll bring them a little closer, or you can take them farther away. Okay, but I think that looks okay. So let's go ahead and do text. So I'm going to type the number 2, and I'm going to make that one red as well. Let me see which one the red is right here. It's this one down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag it, and that'll change it to the same color. That's going to go right in here, so I want to make sure that it's the right size. Okay. All right, and that's all I'm going to do for that one. So if you look over here, let's go ahead and take a look at all these. These are your stars. They are grouped, so they're going to cut individually. If you want to attach them, you can. With this one right here, it probably doesn't really matter much, because if you're only cutting one at a time, you'll be able to see which star goes where. Earlier when I was doing my practicing, I was cutting multiple ones, so I actually ended up attaching them so I could remember which way the stars went, because some of them have different size stars and I didn't want to get them all confused and messed up. But that's a crafter's brain, trying to get something done in the minimal amount of time, where if I just did it one at a time, it probably would be a lot easier on my brain. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do one. Okay, so but for this purpose, I want to go ahead and bring in, not that one, daycare. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing and bring in my grandson's picture. So let's do, here he is, add to canvas, view, and it's huge again, so let's go ahead and just take that down, just make it a little smaller here. And for his, I'm going to do the yellow digital paper. View all, and it's this one here. Now I'm going to be using photo paper for my picture and for the digital paper, but you could use cardstock if you want, or if you have a picture that's already like a school picture that you already got, you don't even have to print it out. Just make sure that it is cut the correct size. Okay, so let's go ahead and get his picture ready. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. Let me ungroup this. And I'm going to bring him back up to the front. And let me see here. This is already grouped, I believe. Oh, let's group it and let's hide it just to get it out of the way here. Okay, so for Jackson, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I want to ungroup this because I want to make sure that I get it the correct size. So it's going to go right in the middle here. So let's drag him down here. And then I want to make sure that I've got it the correct size, how I want it. Now sometimes when it's inside of something else, it's kind of hard to move because the other parts will move. So what you can do is just go ahead and click on the picture and then use your arrow on your keyboard to move things around. Again, I want this bigger. Go ahead and move this down. And I still want it bigger here. So like I said, just move it around to what looks good for you. All right, I think that looks good. So now I'm going to take this and put it right on here. Now with this is still selected, I'm going to hit my shift button and I'm going to grab Jackson and we're just going to move this out and then I'm going to click slice. Okay, and then I can get rid of that. And let's go ahead and hide that. We can use it again later. But then we would just take that to see how it looks and just drag it right in there. So that looks good there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do that front part here. So for that, we're going to go ahead and move that over, move it to the front, change it into a guide, and don't resize this, you want to resize your paper, because if you resize that, everything's going to be off over here. And then just put it on there to what looks good for you, grab both, slice it out, you can delete the extras, okay. And then bring that over here, and then just drag it down, and you can see how it looks. I'm going to change the word daycare to blue. It's going to be HTV. Okay. And then I'm going to put his name over here on the side. So for this name, cap locks again. And I believe this one is, let's see if I can remember. Nope, gotta look at my notes. K-A-D-I-G-A-N. Okay, so now for this, let's go ahead and shrink this down, and I'm going to make this that same color blue as daycare, which is here. Well, actually, I need to move this down here because this is going to be cut out of cardstock, so I don't want that to be the same color. So I'm going to change this to, we'll just do this one here. And then this I can pull up in there. Okay, so for Jackson, I'm going to put him here. I'm going to hit my shift button so that this rotates in a smooth way here. So let me go ahead and do that again in case you didn't see that. You see the little curve that comes on there? That means it's going to rotate. You can rotate it on your own if you want to and just watch the numbers on there so you have the correct degree. Just a little bit bigger. And again, you can move these letters closer together if you want them closer together, but I think that looks good like that. Okay. And you could make your stars darker if you wanted to, whatever colors that you like, and then whatever color your little one's favorite crayon is, you could change the color for that. And I think we're going to go with red. Go ahead and bring this down. Now just keep in mind, whatever colors you have on your screen here that we're changing, that's just for your visual purposes. Whatever you put on your cutting mat when we get over there, that's the color your project's going to be. So unless you're using print and cut for everything, the colors that you see here are just to help you remember what colors are going to be when you get your cutting mat. So I'm going to ungroup this and I'm going to change my crayon. I want it to be a red color. So this top part here, I want to be a darker red, and then the crayon part I want to be a lighter red. So we'll do this one here, and then I'm going to put in the year on here, 025, and this is the same font that I used for his name here, and I'm going to change this to a black. This is going to be cut out of HTV, so go ahead and make it as small as you need to. Zoom in here again, and watch for that little hook. And we'll change it. long as you have it cut right, it doesn't really matter what your angle is on here. I just want to make sure that it's going to fit. Let's make it just a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so then that one is done on there. Now, like I said, when we get to the print and cut, I'm going to be cutting out the pictures and the digital paper that I'm using out of the photo paper that I have, only because it's simpler and I don't want to have to go back and forth. But that's how I'm going to be using it. But you can use cardstock, you can use whatever you're comfortable with. So go ahead and I'm going to group this and I'm going to save this one. So let's bring back our other one. So actually on here, I'm going to come up here and type his name in here so I can remember that this is Jackson. I didn't know if you know that you could change the number or the names on here. Let's see, now I've lost one. There it is. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to type Spencer so I remember that one. So I'm going to go ahead and print these out. Let me go ahead and save this. Okay, when we get to the screen over here, now I'm using my Cricut Joy Extra. This is going to tell me which pictures are going to go on which cutting mat. Okay, if I could move that one up, I don't have enough room. If I was using, maybe I do. Let me see if I can. I don't think I can. Nope, not enough room. Maybe. Let's see. I move that there. Can I get this one on here? Move object. Let's see. So I want to make sure nothing is going to overlap. And I definitely want to try and get as much as I can on here because this photo paper is not cheap, obviously. And I don't want to waste it. It's really hard for me to see this blue color here, so let me go ahead and move these around. It's hard to see where the border is on that blue because it's so light. And I don't want it to overlap anything. I don't want it to overlap on my pictures. So let's see if this is any better. Just arrowing up a little bit here. Oh, I think we did it. Just using my arrow keys to make sure everything is where it needs to be. Yeah, I think it's good. All right, so I got all of those on there. So I'm going to go ahead and print this first. Click continue. I'm going to change the settings on my printer. Okay, so depending on your printer, I have an Epson EcoTank and I have it on paper, so it makes sure it's going to cut 8.5 by 11, but I put it on premium presentation matte. That's what I'm going to use for my photo paper. Okay, so now it's going to click on Send to Printer. I'm going to click Next. This is telling you how it's going to set up on your printer when it prints out. When you put it on your cutting mat, it's going to have a little arrow telling you which way it needs to cut. And we're going to click Next. I leave my bleed on. All that's going to do is if your machine has not been calibrated perfectly, this is going to put, the bleed just leaves a little bit of extra on the outside of it so that when your machine goes to cut it, it just gives you a little bit extra in case it's not lined up correctly, so the sizing isn't wrong on your paper. I'm stumbling over my words. I'm trying to explain the correct way to say it. It'll just leave an extra little bit of bleed on there so that your cut, if it's not perfect, will line up better. I'm going to click Use System Dialog. What that's going to do is it's going to bring up another little screen over here that's going to help me with my settings. Now, it pops up in the front of mine, but if you don't see it and you've clicked that button, it may be behind your screen, so you might need to minimize your screen to be able to find this. So this is going to be different for everybody's printer. For mine, I need to make sure I have my correct printer selected. I'm going to go to Preferences. I'm going to change this paper type to Premium Presentation Matte, and my quality I'm going to change to High. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to click OK. Now for my printer, sometimes it has a hard time grabbing this paper for whatever reason. It's not super thick, but sometimes it won't catch, so I'll go over there and help it kind of just give it a little bit of a tap so that it makes sure that it feeds through. So I'm going to click Print. Okay, so this is going to go ahead and print, and then I'm going to move on and let this sit on my tray for a little bit because you don't really want to cut it as soon as it comes out of the tray. You want to let that ink be able to sit. So after this gets cut out, I'll go ahead, or after this gets printed, sorry, I'll let it sit before I cut it. So we're going to go ahead and click Done. And now it's going to show you all the other screens that you have, all your other mats that you need for the rest of the project. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this first because it's already laid out the way that it is, and I want to make sure that I have it the correct way so that when I go over to my print and cut, it will cut it correctly on my printer. So for mine, my photo paper that I have, I'm going to cut this on heavy cardstock. These are up here because these are my favorites. Browse all materials. You can go ahead and type in cardstock up here or whatever it is that you're cutting, and then you can just go ahead and bookmark it. So that's why mine are showing up there if you don't have those. But I'm going to cut mine on heavy cardstock. I'm going to cut that first. We'll go ahead and get that cut out, and then we will go through and you will just see the rest of these that I'm going to cut out as we do it. Depending on the cardstock that you're using, your settings can either be regular cardstock or heavy cardstock, and then just don't forget when you get to your HTV that you need to mirror it. So you would just cancel that there. You would just go ahead and click mirror. So now they're flipped around and you know that those are going to cut the correct way. And I also have black on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and move that to that same mat, which is right here. And it will automatically flip because this mat has already set to mirror. All right, so let's go back up to here and click continue. I'm going to click on heavy cardstock. So I'll get that cut and we'll show you how to get everything put together. All right, I went ahead and printed this sheet right here. This is the print and cut, and like I was telling you, it's going to have a little arrow right here. It's going to tell you how to put it on your mat. You don't want a mat that is overly sticky. Go ahead and line that up in the corner. And this, I did let this dry for a while because you don't want to go ahead and take it straight out of your printer tray and then put it on your mat and then use your brayer because there's a chance that your ink could smear. So I always like to wait a while. Brayer in there. If you have not calibrated your machine in a while, you may want to go ahead and do that as well. Last time I went to do this, Cricut Design Space asked me if I wanted to calibrate for, I think they had an update to make sure that my machine is going to cut well. So I highly suggest if you have not calibrated your machine to go ahead and do that. My machine is reading the registration marks. Once it gets that all ready and read, it's going to go ahead and send it back through and it will cut everything. Okay, since I am using my Cricut Joy Extra, excuse me, there's no button on my computer, so I had to go back over to my desktop to my computer and push unload for this to come out. So just keep that in mind if this is the machine you're using. If you are using the Cricut Joy Extra, you have to go to your computer to hit the button to click unload, unless you've got your computer next to you or you're using the app. Okay, so my pictures and my digital paper, I'm just going to go ahead and flip this over, move this back a little bit. To get everything to release, just take your time. You don't want to rip anything. Okay, so this, you can just throw this away. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to jump right back into Cricut Design Space and make myself a year. Like this one here has a spot for the year, like I was showing you in the tutorial part, the little 2025. I'm going to make a year for the one that has the second grade, because I've got a second grade number 2 on the star over in the corner. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put maybe a year. I want to see how it's going to look when it comes back out for when this picture was taken. All right, now we're going to go ahead and cut the rest of the cardstock and get it all set up, and then I'll show you how to put everything together. Okay, I always want to make sure that I check to make sure that it cut through all the way. So I just like to put my little hook in there, and it did, so I'm going to go ahead and release it. Okay, and then we're going to do the HTV. So for this, you want to make sure that you have your shiny side down. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn my Easy Press Mini on. And for cardstock and HTV, you just need to push that little button and let that warm up. And we're going to go ahead and put the grade on here first. And we'll probably go ahead and do his name and everything as well. Get that out of the way. Go ahead and cut this apart. Okay, that little noise lets us know that our heat press is ready. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay this right on here. You can see where it is supposed to go. And I'm just going to put this on top and just run this right over the top. It doesn't take very long. You just need to get it to warm up so it'll release from the carrier sheet. Sometimes when you put heat on cardstock, it likes to roll up a little bit. So don't worry, that is normal if that happens. So go ahead and roll this back very slowly. If it didn't come off, or if it didn't want to release, you can just go ahead and lay your sheet back down and do it again. Go ahead and get you guys a little closer here. Okay, so that's one. I just went ahead and put the year on here this way. I was going to put it on one of the stars, but I didn't really care for how it looked. It was just too small. I was going to do 05, but that didn't look right either. Little pieces in here. So I'm just going to put this right on here. And you could do this whatever color you wanted to. I just like the fact that it had like the primary colors on there. You could do it in green, you could do yellow. Whatever makes your little heart happy. I love the fact that you can use HTV on cardstock, so you don't have to cut out those little tiny little individual pieces of cardstock. You can do so much more using HTV. So we don't need that anymore. We're going to go ahead and turn that off. If your cardstock does curl a little bit or whatever you're using, just go ahead and stick it under your mat or somewhere so that just to get it to flatten back down. Okay, so now let's go ahead. This part's got a hole because that is where you're going to line up where your picture is going to go. And this is a part that's going to be on top. So just go ahead and get that lined up the way you like it. And then we're going to glue that picture straight down onto here. Just get that lined up on there. All right. Then I'm going to be using tape in between here. You could glue this if you wanted to, but I just like that it has a little bit of dimension to it since it's cardstock and it is all flat. This will make it look a little more layered with some more dimension. So now you have your adhesive exposed. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue along the entire strip. And the reason that I do that, if you have worked with adhesive and cardstock, you know that as soon as it touches the cardstock, it's going to stick. So adding this glue just kind of gives you an extra second to reposition if you need to. Not very long, it's still going to stick, but this just gives you a little extra time if you need to shift it just a little bit. Okay, so my glue is on, and I'm going to take this and do it this way. So very carefully, just line it up best you can. And just stick it down. And we're going to do the next layer. You can do the green or the yellow, whichever you like, or they can all be the same color. I just like having a little bit of variety in there. And the same thing, I'm just going to go ahead and do the foam tape again to give it some dimension. You can do it however you like. You could also use foam squares, whatever you have on hand. No need to go out and buy all new stuff. I like this project because it can use up a bunch of your scraps that you already have. And as a paper crafter, the more I craft with paper, the more scraps I have. What do you guys do with your scraps? Drop some comments and give me some ideas of what I can do with my scrap cardstock. I'm always looking for new ideas. When my kids were little, I had a daycare in my house and we used to do crafts all the time. But back then I didn't have a Cricut, so I would order, or actually I would buy from the local craft store. They had those like little ornaments that you could make and like little craft kits that you could put together. So I would do a lot of crafts with the kids' fingerprints, and I was constantly taking pictures because not only was I somebody who had daycare in my house, I used to be a photographer and took kids' pictures, you know, like at Kmart. If you guys ever went there back in the day, I'm really showing my age here. So I was constantly taking pictures and making little picture projects for the parents and grandparents, you know, like for holidays and just special occasions or just for whatever day. So I love doing projects to make the parents smile, or grandparents. So here's your next layer. Again, just line it up here. Just building dimension as we go. And then the next one. Wouldn't it be cute if you guys did this every year, and then when your kid graduated, you could have it up there? Or even if your kid is graduating, you could take all the school pictures and make one for each one. I think this would be so cute at a graduation party. Or if your child is getting married, this would be cute to do pictures of the bride and groom and all the different years of school. This project is so easy to do. Once you get all your pieces cut out and you figure out which colors you want to use, the hard part's over. Put our little stars on. I am going to use the foam squares for this. You could use foam tape as well. I just happen to have these on hand, so why not? You could even write something in here if you wanted to, like how old they were in this picture. So many ways to personalize things. It's the fun part of being a crafter. And then for the magnet, all you have to do is just cut a little piece off. Now, depending on how much you want to use, you probably could get away with one piece. I did two on this one, but however you feel secure doing it. It's got a pretty good stick to it. But you probably could do it this way. I think I got that at Walmart, maybe? I can't remember. Of course, I'll go ahead and link it for those of you who like to shop on Amazon. I'll go ahead and link it there, but I'm pretty sure I got it at Walmart. It's either Walmart or Lowe's. But that's it for that one. I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple other ones together that I went ahead and cut out so you guys can see what they look like. I'm going to go ahead and work on this kindergarten one first. This is my nephew, another one who is already out of school, graduated from college actually a few years ago. So obviously this picture is quite old. Be careful that it doesn't go over onto your mat there. You don't want to iron it to your heating mat. Go ahead and do his little crayon here. And then I'm going to use my tape for, actually I'll use some squares. Here's that one. Slap a magnet on the back. Next. And there's the last one. And there's a peek at all of them. Got the daycare one. We've got preschool. And if you take a look, these two are the same people. This is my daughter, preschool, and then from her high school graduation. 2nd grade and senior when my son graduated. And this is my nephew for kindergarten. Old age. But that's all of them, guys. I hope you like them. If you make them, I would love to see them. Please come on over to the Facebook group and show them off. I love seeing what you guys make with my projects. Be sure and comment down below which one is your favorite. Which color combination? Are you guys going to use some digital papers? I would love to see them. You can find this week's freebie in the freebie library. It is design number 254. And on the blog post, I'll be sure to leave a link to the fonts that I used and all the supplies that I used and where you can find them. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I appreciate you. Until next time, have a wonderful day on purpose.